Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Rent Money. As always, I'm joined by old Chisum and Texas Pete. We're going to be breaking down a little bit of cleanup after week two, some hard hits. The play of the year fumbled. I was live at the game. Tales from the bleachers coming soon. I'll tell you why it's the same old Hawks, yet it is a different result. Then we're going to get a Notre Dame State of the Union address out of old Chisum. Not only is it week three, but it's year three from good old ball coach Marcus Freeman. So we'll get Adam's feelings after a tough loss at home. We'll also have Texas Pete's Texas Play of the Week, sponsored by Dude Wipes. All of that and a little bit more coming at you soon. Before we get to that, I'd like to introduce our presenting sponsor for today, Jack Link's Meat Snacks. That's right, not Jack Link's beef jerky, Jack Link's meat snacks. They're a lot more than just beef jerky. You can actually call them a five-trick pony. They have a lot of different snacks for you. You can choose between meat snacks or a Sasquatch-approved snack. So don't mess with the Sasquatch. Go online, take a quiz, see what meat snack you are. It turns out I'm a beef jerky jalapeno. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. Go ahead, take the quiz, and find out yourself. Now, something that's awesome about Jack Link's meat snacks is that not only do they have quick, fast, efficient shipping, but there's no shipping fees. So instead of running to the local grocery store, stacking up on pounds and pounds worth of meat snacks, you can get that discreetly delivered to your home, judgment-free. Jack Links, they're there when you need them. I know I was on the road this weekend. Quick Jack Links little beef jerky snack did me right, got me to Iowa City, full belly, high spirits. So go ahead and check them out.
Love a good beef stick, beef snack. Must have for a road trip. Must have, just stick it in the golf bag. It's versatile. Gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jack Links.
Absolutely. Welcome back. All right. Here we are. Adam, are you emotionally, mentally, physically prepared? The headline from week two of college football, there was a few, but I think we got to start with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking a loss to Northern Illinois, the Huskies, at home. Hard-fought game, low-scoring game. Notre Dame is now a part of the Huskies' boneyard. I don't know if you saw this in their locker rooms. They got, every D1 team that they've ever beat. Sadly, I saw Kansas State and Iowa on there. They're starting to take all of our schools. Adam, the floor is yours. I'm going to set the stage. I know you got a lot of thoughts about this team, the direction they're heading. Coming out of week one, I felt like it was a positive, the right direction, massive step back.
Yeah, I don't really know if you could have a bigger step forward going onto the road and getting a win, College Station week one, to then just turn around and play the same level of competition, maybe not the same level of competition, but play with your competition to the same extent and just not even ever really come remotely close to winning. I think the most they were ever up was a point, and that was after a Jeremiah Love fucking highlight reel of a touchdown run, and took that to score against this team. Like, I think a lot needs to happen. A lot has needed to happen for probably anywhere from 3 to 4 decades. And I think a lot of it is the same reasons why people hate Notre Dame. I understand it if you hate them.
Can't stand them.
Because,
not a fan.
You don't understand why a lot of other people are fans of the team, and that's okay. But as a kid that, grew up, watching Rudy damn near every day.
Irish Catholic.
Irish
Gotta
Catholic.
Get that in every episode.
we got the Celtic cross on at all times. None of it matters. God has abandoned us, if he exists at all. I don't even know if I'm religious anymore. I don't know, if God does exist. He definitely is not a Notre Dame fan. I think the biggest things, though, is that you can't blame this on Freeman right after you gave him his flowers week one. This is so much deeper than him. Granted, it happens at a higher clip within his tenure and his tutelage, being only year 3, and this is, I think, his 3rd loss that this has really happened.
We are Marshall.
I blame... Yeah, thanks. I personally blame the fan base, especially all of the old talking heads that are, just rich alumni that sit in the stands and create a terrible game day atmosphere. It's not a social event. It's not a networking event. This is college football, and you're trying to put a program on the map for the first time since the 80s. You're not going to do that by telling other people to sit down, just being a genuine asshole in general. I don't think anyone likes any like true blue blood Notre Dame family because they're just pricks. They're pieces of shit. Or they're the salt of the earth and they just don't even go to the games. So that's another issue. But I think
we talked about
outside of that,
in the past too. The game day experience, you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Definitely more of a networking event at times. Sure, you get your good fans in there, and the people. It's kind of like Carver Hawkeye Arena in basketball on a football field, right? A lot of people sitting down, pretty quiet, eerie. Not much of a home field advantage. Proceed. Just wanted to give agreement there.
Yeah, totally. I think the biggest thing along with that is this pompous sense of entitlement that all of those same people have, but then the team then kind of takes on. You hear Saban talk about all the time how the hardest thing in the world for him towards the end of his career was getting his guys to not listen to the outside noise and to stay within themselves and play within the program and what he's preaching. And obviously this team getting an NBC Hard Knocks spinoff was not what they needed at any point. Definitely not this season when we can't even run an efficient offense and we continue to just go to the portal. But the biggest thing is truthfully that this team is just riding on the coattails of shit that generations before them, like pre-World War II, did. Newt Rockne made Notre Dame what it is today. He made it a national program. He took them nationwide by just being like, son of a bitch, we're getting on a train and we're playing in LA. Then we're going to go play at Yankee Stadium. Like he went out and made them a brand recognized nationally. And because of that, they still are. But then on top of it, they don't have an identity like they did. Before it was, we are, the proud immigrants. We're gritty as hell. We're tough as nails. We'll go in and we'll punch you in the mouth if you talk shit. Now, like, the physicality that this team should be playing with is gone. Like, everybody is so cute with everything. Nothing, like, there's way too much worry about style points. There's not enough worry about executing a progression or a read, looking at the quarterback play. There's not enough emphasis on some of the front seven. I was really disappointed at how much our front seven was bullied, straight up bullied by Northern Illinois. Whenever they wanted to run the ball, they could. I don't know. I literally had to leave the bar that I was at to watch the second half and just ingest it because they quite simply did not ever have an answer to a simple halfback dive or an inside zone. And that's flat out fucking embarrassing. As a fan, as a player, I can't even imagine. And the fact that this team has a chance to run the table and sneak into the playoffs is downright fucking shameful. If I'm the NCAA, don't allow this team into the college football playoff, whether they win out and they have a couple of good wins against A&M and against USC hypothetically at the end of the year. Like, this loss to NIU should signify they're not ready to be on a national stage once again, even though they all claim that they should be because we play cross country. Like, buddy, the Big Ten is a national conference now. So this is all washed. It's gone. I'm fucking numb emotionally. And this is going to be probably the toughest loss I've ever watched Notre Dame have, potentially since losing at home in their home opener to University of South Florida, I think in 2012, maybe 2011. I'm done.
Adam, sounds like you're not only turning your back on the football team, but also the fan base as well, is what I heard.
More
TP,
so,
I think you're on mute as well. Still on mute. Well, when you say that's
Still
true,
mute,
though,
yeah.
Adam, the fan base and the football team, done with both?
No, I'd never once said I'm done with the football team. I said I'm done having this much emotion into a singular season. And I truly believe that it is possible for them within the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years of getting 1 to 2 wins in the playoff. I don't know how long it'll be until we're like actually a top 4 team in the country again.
This exactly what you just said is where the pain comes from. You're describing winning in the college football playoffs, yet you get upset by a directional state school in September before the season actually freaking starts. And that's why I love these Notre Dame fans for the sole fact of hating them. I don't know why you guys put these expectations upon yourselves for a non-Power 4 school. You guys go into every single season thinking playoffs, thinking national title game, and then it just ends in pure disappointment like this. I mean, I don't know where you guys get off. Where is this sense of entitlement coming from? Is it from your grandfather's era? Like, was it inherited? Is it genetic? I don't know. Explain it to me. I've never fully understood it. I grew up in the greater Chicagoland area, so there's definitely, a fair share of Irish fans. So I have a few that I, frequent on college football game days, and I definitely like to poke and prod at them. Your guys' reaction to these games, no one gets higher and no one gets lower than you Notre Dame fans. I personally think you guys make the college football world, spin a little bit quicker. I absolutely love it. But I just feel so bad for you guys, man. Like you guys, if you don't know who the fool in the room is, it's you. So, yeah, that's just my little piece about him. But you got to give some flowers out to NIU as well. Head coach Thomas Hammock delivering an emotional post-game interview. Nothing but tears of joy for the man. That is absolutely going to be the center stone of achievement in his career. So, shout out to them and go Skis.
Absolutely. And it sounded like Marcus Freeman's reaching out to Hammock to get some tips after the game, looking for a little mentor across state borders there. I thought that was interesting. You usually think it's more of a little brother, big brother relationship, but Marcus Freeman is new to the coaching game. He's taking his lumps. I think when Marcus Freeman eventually gets fired from the University of Notre Dame, whether that's this year, next year, the year after, I think you point at this week as kind of when it all maybe started to unravel for them. I also want to give a shout out quickly to Ontario Brown. That's right, not Antonio Brown. Ontario Brown, 200 all-purpose yards in this game for the Huskies. CTE Jr. getting it done for NIU. Fuck me. I mean, Notre Dame's still ranked, and that's just the privilege that they're given, right? You shouldn't be able to. I guess they lost to a ranked team, right? In NIU.
No. Like, they just went on the road and beat A&M week 1.
A&M was that good of a team? They weren't ranked.
We'll find out.
They were ranked
20th of the preseason. Might as well have been 35.
All right. Regardless, you have one really good win and you have one really bad loss.
Yeah. And
like that.
I don't know. I think.
And to answer your question, Fultz, I literally just walked through the importance of how Notre Dame is a national brand and why they have that sense of entitlement.
When they were taking trains around the country?
Yes, dude. Like, I don't think you understand the importance of the 1930s in America or the impact that we still feel from the greatest generation that fought in World War II. But ever heard of Niall Kinnick? I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that number one, don't sleep on G5 schools ever. Like, you're seeing it happen right now with Boise State having Ashton Jeanty go out and just literally be the second coming of Adrian Peterson. I don't think I've seen dominance since that. But then for Notre Dame, you have the biggest issue is a cultural one. I personally think that Marcus Freeman will be very, very good coach at the collegiate level. I don't think it will be with Notre Dame. I think he's going to have too short of a leash and he will go elsewhere. If he ever ends up with his alma mater at Ohio State, that could be fucking dangerous, especially if Ryan Day continues to lose to a Michigan team that he just can't for the life of him beat if they don't beat Michigan this year. Like, he probably should get fired. But yeah, I mean, the sense of entitlement is by far and large the biggest issue with Notre Dame, especially because their entire foundation as a program and when they were dominant, 100 years ago, or I guess it's closer to 50 years ago now, but that dominance came because they didn't take anything from anyone. They earned it. They went out and they played their asses off and they dominated. And we haven't seen a Notre Dame team go out and just straight up dominate an opponent in years. And
I
that
don't know,
is
yeah.
that
you
is
shouldn't
the issue.
you shouldn't expect them to, Adam. Here's the entitlement. LSU lost to a top 10, top 11 USC team. Michigan lost to a top 5 Texas team. Clemson lost to a top 5 Georgia team. All those are the only other one-loss teams in the top 25. And then you have shitty, stinky Notre Dame losing to NIU, not even a Power 5
Notre Dame
school,
is better
Power
than
4
all of
school.
those teams.
Notre Dame is okay. We'll find out when they play Clemson later in the year, and we'll find out when we play USC later in the year. Let's put a bet on it.
I'm more than willing to put a bet on the fact that Notre Dame is a better team than every other one-loss team that is currently within the top 25. More than willing.
Well, then maybe those teams shouldn't be ranked either. So that's the whole point. But at least they didn't lose to fucking.
So which one is it? Jeff, which one is it? Which one is it? A, G5 teams are actually way better than we give them credit for, which you
There's only
openly
one
shit on
G5
me
team that's
in the
ranked,
past.
and that's literally Northern Illinois. It's because they beat Notre Dame.
You're making my point. Last time when I was like, G5 teams deserve more respect, they should be ranked higher, we should do this, and that because of the expansion of
You
the
said
playoff.
there might be 4 teams in the G5 in the playoffs. There's only one G5 team ranked.
Honestly,
it's not even like
at this point, we're
hypothetically
all
possible.
And that's another issue in and of itself. But it's either one-loss teams are going to be ranked higher, like they always have been, and they always will be, because the AP poll is going to jerk off whoever has money, or it's going to be flipped now that there's a 12-team format.
Money.
And,
Notre Dame.
I mean, I feel like I'm sitting here talking to a wall. Like, neither of you have listened to anything that I've said, and then you're just like chirping me and responding to me. What did you learn?
Me on the trains, baby. Notre Dame brand. Rock me with the train.
Rock me and taking the trains. If I had to write a book,
I'll just send you my picks.
That would be the main paragraph.
I'll send you my picks.
All right,
you guys
Chisum,
take it.
I mean, I know you care a lot about Notre Dame football. I care a lot about Iowa football. I think you do too. We can maybe transition on to scenes from the bleachers. Last week, I gave out my play of the year, as in Iowa -2.5. Have you ever seen a dog that just needs to get put down? That's kind of how I felt in the second half of that game. Flashbacks to Marley and Me, the last time I think I cried in theaters. Holy shit. You know, like I said, same Hawks, different result. If you could believe it or not, as bad as they looked in the second half, as much as they shut that offense down, as much as Kirk Ferentz does this consistently year in, year out, it works. As much as I hate to say it, right? They haven't lost a game where they led by 13 points or more in over a decade. They have over a 95% win rate if they're up by 10 or more at half. These are facts. These are reality. And you know what? Iowa State, kudos to Iowa State. They were the better team on Saturday. They came out with second half adjustments. They made big plays. You can see it in the receiving core. They have playmakers. Iowa does not. Cade McNamara is not the answer. It is a systematic failure on many levels from the program, but it also whittles down to Cade McNamara probably just not being that guy. He threw the ball for 29 times for less than 100 yards. Meanwhile, you have Caleb Johnson running for almost 200 with 2 TDs. A lot of opportunities to put this game away. They were within the 5-yard line, first down, twice settled for field goals. That was tough to watch. In the moment, I didn't have a problem with either of those field goals. I did have a bit of a problem with the play calling. You got to be handing that ball off to Johnson 3 times if you're at the 2 or the 3 on the first down. Second half, Iowa State, as I mentioned, adjustments were made. The defense, 8 in the box consistently. And if you got 8 in the box on D and you're not able to expose that, that's an issue. Something else I'd call out, they went for 2, right, at the end of the game. In the moment, didn't hate the call, didn't hate the decision, hated the play call. Your 2-point conversion play call cannot be a fade. That's just absolutely terrible. On the flip side, on third down, Iowa State receiver made a huge play on the fade to score a touchdown. Big difference in the game. All of this is to say, at the end of the day, Iowa State, Rocco Brecht, huge credit. 20 seconds left, no timeouts on their own 30-yard line. Kirk Ferentz probably signs up for that 100 times out of 100 times, and the Iowa defense probably comes through 98 times. They didn't. They didn't get it done. Iowa State kicker kicked one from 54 yards. That's the ball game. That's the play of the year. That's devastation. That's the crackhead behind me that said this game's over 7 different times, from starting in the first half through the second half, starting to when they got a first down with 2 minutes left and they had timeouts, and we said, dude, the game's not fucking over. Stop saying it. It's a tough one. In-state rivalry. Cone's got the best of us. I still think we have a bright future ahead of us this season. We're going to play a lot of Iowa football. It sucks when we lose. Sometimes it sucks when we win. But yeah, it sucks when we lose. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah, I'm not used, as an Iowa fan, losing this early in the season. Cyhawks is typically something that we take down like it's nothing. It was a sad, sad watch party at Braswell's Premium Pub here in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Charlotte Iowa Club. Jam-packed full of Iowa fans, obviously. You know, you have the classic Iowa State, Iowa couples that are there. The Iowa State fans had a fun in our faces, but yeah, definitely disappointed with the outcome in that game. But it's not over for us.
Same old Hawks.
Yeah, it is.
Same old Hawks. The season is not over.
You've got to win your non-conference. They're not going to be able to finish within the top 5 in the Big Ten. That's that's the truth.
Did you learn
Washington,
anything
UCLA,
about
Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan State? I mean, I think we could take 3 of those.
It's based off the Big Ten record. If we lose to Ohio State, run the table. I don't think I saw anything that wasn't the Hawks this weekend, except for the result, right? This game gets played a bunch of times. They sat on the ball. They didn't convert opportunities they had on the goal line. A lot of mistakes. They're all-American corner safety. Castro gets beat for 40 yards on the last possession of the game when there's 23 seconds left. I mean, a lot of things. Iowa State kickers. Shout out to college football kickers. It used to be 50 yards is you're not even going to send him out there. That guy was good for 63. Holy shit. But my God, I mean, I didn't think I learned anything new about the Hawks today. It was same old Hawks football. I learned that Kirk Ferentz has his fingerprints so deep up fucking Tim Lester's ass that, God damn it. It's frustrating to watch him play that brand of football, right? But I think they still come out with the win more times than not.
I mean, my level of concern is more so the fact that they're a team that we know for certain if you need to throw the ball and air it out to come back, if you're in a deficit, they can't do that. And now we just learned that against a non-conference in-state rival, biggest game of the year for this team, they can't close out multiple score lead either. Like, this is a team that's bread and butter is running the ball and playing defense, and we did neither of those things well in the second half, if at all. And the bigger concern in my mind is, one, the fact that you just learned that Kirk Ferentz had his fingerprints all over Tim Lester, as if, like, no shit, Kirk is going to have his fingerprints all over a first-year OC. Second of all, the fact that Xavier Nwampa, however the fuck you say his last name, how he got a 5-star coming out of high school is beyond me. He might be the worst player on our entire defense. Because that was his assignment that was blown, and Castro was the one that got hung out to dry for it.
No, I was talking about more of like that wheel route in the fourth quarter last possession. But you're right. Polk had a 75-yard touchdown. Wampa can't let that go over the top there from the safety position. One thing I love about this Hawkeyes team, and always will love about this Hawkeye team, Higgins, Jay Higgins, said, you know what, on that play, I need to misdirect the receiver. I need to do a better job of getting my hands on him coming out of his break. That one's on me, not X. Well, we know that's probably not 100% true that it's on him. That's the leadership you see out of this Hawkeyes team year in, year out. That makes them very resilient. I think a lot of teams might take this in-state loss and fold. I do think there's a resilience to this team. With that said, we're operating, as always, with thin margins. When you can't move the ball in the air, you got to be pretty much perfect everywhere else. I think if we had Torrey Taylor in this game, we win. Going away, he was our MVP last year. It wasn't even Cooper DeGino. It was Torrey Taylor. Said it all year. We saw Torrey Taylor just fucking go out and basically win an NFL game, too, with his punting.
Yeah,
holy shit.
Essentially. But, I mean, and to your point, too, the importance of special teams for Iowa football is depressing how important it is. Kind of love it sometimes, but having to watch it on Sundays, too, like as a Steeler fan, we literally just kicked 6 field goals to win. At some point, I want to see somebody on any of the teams that I cheer for show like a modern, efficient approach to playing offense that's geared towards getting into the end zone. I think it would be fun. I would love to just see what that looks like. I don't think I've seen it since 2015. Just food for thought there for me personally. I'm obviously emo as shit right now, but then on top of all of that too, I love the fact that Torrey Taylor was the one that won them that game when you have the Hard Knocks clips of Caleb being like, "You're not going to be punting much this year, bro." And it's like, you're not going to be winning without him. So like, maybe we just give a little more respect and a little more credit to where it's due. I hope to God that the Hawks can turn it around. I just know for a fact that we've seen that script unfold in the past. Last time, what was it, 2021, 2022 that we played?
2022, we lost 10-7. That was a barn burner.
I mean, once again, it's like we're not really seeing much growth. I think we need more time with Lester in order to bring in guys that he wants in his offensive scheme. I think this year doesn't really matter. If I'm being completely honest, this year is the least an Iowa football season will matter probably for the rest of our lives.
This team and this fan base, myself included, I think we had college football playoff aspirations. Not expectations, but aspirations.
I mean, yeah, well, like, who doesn't?
Either way, terrible loss, play of the year. I mean, you only get one. Holy shit.
I'm getting shit on for Notre Dame fans having playoff aspirations, but Iowa fans get that.
You have expectations. We have aspirations.
It's like, you know what? Yeah, it'd be nice. Go out, play the game, do well. You know, we should be in the hunt. That's all it is. Do what we do, should be in the hunt. All right. That's enough of Soggy Sorrows. What do you guys say we move on? Cover a few of the other matchups here.
TP, lead us off. Take us away for these.
So the inaugural Texas Pete Texas Play of the Week cashed. I believe we all cleaned up on this one. Chisum included. Texas 31, Michigan 12. Any thoughts coming from this game, guys?
Texas did what I expected them to do.
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback in college football.
Quinn Ewers is impressive. I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of Arch discourse come across my, Twitter feed and everything over the past, handful of months. Arch definitely, or not Arch, pardon me. Quinn has, a couple of big wins on his belt. Obviously transitioning over to SEC is going to need to keep it rolling. But yeah, this guy's performing well. Absolutely.
On the road, I think, at Bama. He's got the resume now, right, guys?
Yeah.
I think one thing that goes outside the football lines, you saw the head coach or a Michigan dad after the game. Clip was going viral of, he was getting his son a picture with Quinn Ewers and he was doing the horns down in the picture. The way he handled that, like, just shrugged it off, basically said, come on, don't do that. Like, didn't make a big deal about it. I think he's got the right mindset to lead this Texas team. And he seems to be a leader on and off the field. Welcomed in Arch, as not only a backup, but as competition for his job. And Sark has said, we're running a competition every year for the QB. Quinn went out and won it. A lot to like. They got a different team this year than last year, too. They kind of bully-balled Michigan. Like, they played Michigan football at Michigan last year in the game at Tuscaloosa. It felt like Sark was really scheming it up, getting big plays to happen. This week, they said, we can pretty much keep it base and just outplay these guys head-on-head football.
That was by far the biggest thing, other than Ewers being, I feel like he cemented himself going up against one of the top secondaries in the country in Michigan, but then also the physicality in the trenches on both sides of the ball for Texas was beyond noticeable against a team who, like you just said, Jack, their identity for Michigan football is physicality in the trenches. Like, they, for the most part, held off Mason Graham all game. Will Johnson didn't play a factor once, even though he's obviously in the secondary, but I mean, the top cornerback projected in the draft next year. I think the coolest thing about the Arch Quinn situation, you have Quinn being a redshirt junior, so if he wanted to come back next year, he could. Arch has another 3 years ahead of him, unless he goes the Cam Rising route and gets hurt every other year and he gets to play for 7 or 8 years. Speaking of, guess who's hurt again? But then I think the game plan in my mind is you want Quinn to ball out. You want him to do the damn thing this year. Go to the draft and let Quinn come in Arch come in next year as year 3 in the program, but technically year 2 based on eligibility. And then give him another 2, maybe even 3 years to be able to ball out with, the next generation of, elite talent that Texas already has coming in. Their recruiting board right now, if you look at their class of 2025, is fucking silly. With some of the skill guys that they have coming in, the weapons that will be there for whoever takes the helm. But I love that Sark promotes the competition aspect, while at the same time, Quinn is obviously taking on this big brother role and kind of helping to mentor Arch.
Yeah.
As if he doesn't have 2 Hall of Fame, uncles as NFL quarterbacks. Like,
two quick things on high noon kickoff. You can tell Sark has gone to the school of Alabama, gone to the school of Saban. He said program like 10 times.
Beautiful.
He couldn't stop saying it. Program. Number two, I feel like a comparison for Quinn Ewers this year. And we know we've seen him do more than this, but this is who they maybe just need him to be, is J.J. McCarthy. That's who maybe Texas needs Quinn Ewers to be this year. And he's more than up for the task, right?
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Another non-Soggy Sorrow segment we believe we all cleaned up on would be Nico Iamaleava in Tennessee. Tennessee 51, NC State 10. Never a doubt the entire time. I think this was the first game we didn't see Nico throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, but you don't need to when you rush for 250 yards and have the game under control. So far, just recapping him, it's got 3 relatively non-competitive starts where they've cleaned up. Looks like it's going to be 4 coming up this week as well. Is that the recipe that you need to develop your young and talented prospect? Get a handful of, non-comp starts under his belt, see the game flow, see it actually at the Division I level before you open up to the competition. I think they got Oklahoma, Bama, and UGA later this season. What are your guys' thoughts on Nico? Is he the guy?
I love him. I think the fact that this is his first year starting, 19, like, this kid has so much fucking talent. It almost makes me, sad.
I'm down to just jump on the Nico bandwagon. I think we just all get in, all Nico, all the time. He is who we thought he was going to be.
3 starts in. I mean, it's not getting on too late.
We're all in. Nico podcast. We can talk about him every week. Who does Tennessee even got this week?
Kent State.
Team total. Let's take the over.
Done.
Squad ride. Adam has a face. He's like, Kent State, Ohio.
No.
Max and Scaries coming back at you.
I mean, dude, has Mac missed a cover yet against a Power 4 team?
We'll get our stat guy to get on that.
This Kent State team is 0-2. Let's see. Who
we got
to
get an intern. All I know is
this Kent State team lost by 31 to Pittsburgh and lost to St. Francis, Pennsylvania. Let's hammer Tennessee.
Kent State
first
is
half
ass.
over. First half over. I'll take a look. I'll get back to you guys on that one.
Tennessee's out for blood. I think Tennessee and Ole Miss are in very similar spots in the SEC right now, where it's they know that with Saban gone, this is their moment, their opportunity to take a leap forward for the first time in a long time.
Yep.
Ole Miss has been knocking on that door. Lane Kiffin is begging for his chance. I know Tennessee's in the same spot when they beat Bama. What was it, last year, 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago now. That was kind of their hello, we've arrived moment. But I feel like it's really this year for Tennessee. And this year is more or less that, can we do this for real? Or do we have to go back to the drawing board for Ole Miss? They got to find a way to capitalize Jackson Dart, Walter Nolan, some of the guys on that defense. The SEC is more up for grabs than anyone wants to admit. Georgia's good, but there's several teams that, play their cards right and they find a way to outcoach Kirby Smart. We'll see. But, I mean, that's obviously the latter being the toughest part of that, because Jesus H, is Kirby just everything that you could want in a coach and then some.
Here we go. 2 things. You either take a first half total. They're not letting you take a first half team total on FanDuel. First half total of 35.5 minus 106, or I kind of like this. Tennessee minus 28.5. Not as juicy, minus 130 first half spread.
Say minus 28.5.
Yeah.
For the first half?
For the first half. Which one do you guys want to point me in the direction of it, and I'll put it on my card?
I was going to say, I'd rather go full game spread.
Yeah, full game spread's going to be 49.5. Probably,
I don't know if I'm laying 50. I would take one of those first half numbers, 28.5.
They're going to shut it down a little bit.
Yeah. Either.
All right, put Tennessee first half minus 28.5 on my card.
First play of the week.
It's going on there. It's a Nico podcast. We're going to ride with the Bulls.
Nico,
all right,
on the pod, man.
TP, what else do you got on the non-Soggy Sorrows segment?
Yeah, just recapping a couple games from last week quick. Georgia Tech 28, Syracuse 31. Home dogs win outright. Cover the spread +3. Another very impressive performance from Kyle Honda McCord. I'm officially putting him on sneaky Heisman watch at 75-1 odds currently. He's 59 for 85, 735 yards, which puts him at third on the total yards list, as well as 8 touchdowns, which is tied for first. This guy's been balling. He's been performing. You know, who knows what they can do in the ACC? Obviously wide open. Maybe they could sneak in with the, conference championship appearance. Doubt it. Probably going to have to win the full thing, but just keep an eye out for it. It's sneaky.
Yeah.
75-1. What are you talking about here, guys? Come on.
These Orange men, dude. Kyle McCord going up to New York, upstate. These are coaches he's very familiar with, both the, New Jersey kid, I believe, both the head coach and the offensive coordinator, kids that I've known since high school, big believers. The offensive coordinator was saying stuff, or maybe it was the head coach, was saying along the lines of, Kyle could have went to a different school, right? He could have transferred somewhere for more money. He wanted to come here. He wanted to be in this program with our system. And maybe it's going to pay dividends for him. Some of that might be lip service. But at the same time, there's a lot of schools that could use a Kyle McCord right now. Whether that's down in Florida State, come to mind quickly. But yeah, good for him. I'm all about a redemption story.
That's right.
What is he even redeeming from? Because last year he had a pretty damn good year. I know Ohio State fans gave him a hard time and wanted more, but if you look at the stats, 30 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, a lot of people would sign up for that.
I know the franchises that Chisum and I root for. We gladly would. Right. Going on, another upset from last week, Cal 21, Auburn 14. This was a very heavy play for Texas Pete. He wasn't very pumped about it. We're just going to put all that behind us. But going to Auburn quarterback Peyton Thorne, maybe quote of the weekend. Peyton Thorne has said bettors have requested him on Venmo post-Cal upset. It's me. I'm one of those bettors. Quote, it's funny. When they lose money, they want their money back. But when they win money on a parlay, no one's ever sent me any of the money. Peyton Thorne, shut the fuck up. You got to cover at home against Cal. No excuses. Get it done.
That was the Paul Feinbaum quote, too, where he's like, there's no chance that Auburn loses to Cal pregame. Like, somebody called in and was like, I feel like Auburn's on upset alert. And Feinbaum went on record to say there's absolutely zero chance that Auburn gets upset. Just for them to get upset. And it's like, Paul, you've been doing this long enough. You should know better.
Here's what I'll say briefly is I think the top of the SEC is very strong, but I think the bottom of the SEC is equivalent to the bottom of a lot of other conferences. It's not, top to bottom as much as it sometimes used to be maybe. Top is very, very strong. The bottom half's going to get beat up on a little bit this year.
Speaking of that, top of the SEC, just other notable teams who played last week, really no competitions. UGA rolled, Ole Miss rolled, Bama rolled, Mizzou rolled, Ohio State rolled, USC rolled. We covered them.
I had Mizzou on my card.
Is that a cover?
For those who, minus 34.5 covers. I think we're going to fuck around and do it again this week. Found my team.
Real quick, maybe touch on Oregon versus Boise State. I know Adam gave some shouts to Boise State earlier on the pod. That was a miss for me. Major just thought Oregon was going to bounce back. Maybe Dylan Gabriel, not it. Just throwing it out there. He's been the Heisman favorite back-to-back weeks. Adam gave me a little bit of a tickler, a little tease, saying I'm not a believer. A lot of football left. They have a couple easy games. They're pretty much home free unless there's a massive upset like we saw almost last weekend at home. Ohio State showdown.
Don't they have the in-state battle this week with Oregon State?
They do. I think this Oregon State team has taken a huge step back.
Yeah, but still, like, in-state rivalries, we just watched the wild one unfold. There's also the Utah State in-state rivalry going on this week. If you would like to watch, Spencer Petras aired out one last time.
Any other takeaways from this last week of football? I think we've covered a lot.
Can we talk about my long shot of Nebraska for the Big Ten?
Oh, let's talk about Nebraska, Colorado.
Nebraska did exactly what we expected them to do. In Colorado, not only underperformed, but they then turned around and you got one of the worst quotes you could get, polar opposite of Jay Higgins from Shedeur Sanders, essentially throwing his entire team under the bus in 30 seconds. Asking a reporter a question as an answer to their first question is never something that works out. It never works out well.
No, that's a
When
clown
his
question, bro.
response, immediate response was, "How many times did Raiola get touched?" Brother, who gives a fuck? That's not even remotely close to having anything to do with something you can control as a player or something that you can build off of as a leader. There is no accountability or leadership on this entire Colorado team, and that is so heartbreaking for Travis Hunter, who is maybe the best player in the country. And because he is on a team that is just filled with hype beasts, it's all going to go to shit. And we're just going to have to hope he does well at the next level.
Kind of had 2010 LeBron James taking off his Cleveland Cavaliers jersey up in Boston Garden. He left 2 minutes early before the game's over. If you're going to leave and they didn't even have anything to say about it. If you're going to leave 2 minutes early, at least come up with a fabrication of, I got kind of dinged up.
Yeah, something.
We wanted to literally say anything, say something besides the fact that he's just going to leave the field early, leave before his team, 2 minutes left in the game.
And then shits on the team in the press conference. And he was literally doing this when he was with Travis and they were playing the college football game, and he took a sack in the game and blamed it on his offensive line in the fucking video game. And then he does this shit in real life. I'm like, do you not understand that all this guy has to do, quote unquote, miss a block as your left tackle and you don't walk again? Like, what are we doing where this is just acceptable for anyone to say?
They're gonna come out.
How big of an ego do you have to blame your own offensive line on your third game of the year?
I mean, they're going to come out maybe like second half of longest yard here. He might have to take a couple hits, win back their trust, put it on his shoulders, gain a first down with his legs. We'll see what happens. Your other favorite Sanders as well, old Chisum, left the game with injury. Thoughts and prayers? Real quick, before we get out of there, Adam, or off this game, why don't you tell us Matt Rule's football guy quote of the week?
Oh, is this the Kegs quote?
Sure was. Yeah, maybe TP knows he's nodding, smiling ahead.
Rule came out and they were asking him how he enjoyed the night game atmosphere, etc. And his immediate response was to put down his bottle of water that he did not struggle to open. I think that's been an issue with a lot of coaches in press conferences recently. But then said, "Nah, man, I'm all in for the 11 a.m. games. Give me kegs, eggs, and
Kegs, eggs, and football,
or whatever kegs, eggs, and football." If we ever do a spin-off podcast, that's
football. Yeah.
There's our name.
If we ever make it to a Saturday morning pregame show, right? If somebody ever taps us on the shoulder, hey, kegs, eggs, and football,
hit us up. We'll do it for you.
All right.
We'll travel.
Don't say it too many times, or it might become a real thing for somebody else.
Great week 2 of football. Just to recap our records for the official pick. Last week, Chisum went 5-7. Running back Jones went 2-3, and then Texas Pete went 3-3. So definitely a room for improvement on the big board for the boys, which is setting us up wonderfully for college football week 3. Let me go ahead.
Week 3. Year stats: Adams 15-10-1. Myself
16.
16.
I forgot the Arkansas pick. I'm 16-10-1.
Classic Chisum. Just toss an extra one in there. Delete. 6 is going in. 6-6 for running back Jones, and then 3-5-1 for Texas Pete.
Yes, sir. Texas Pete officially on the board. We are pumped. I do not have to honor the at 321 Knowles fan bet of eating dog shit out of a red Solo cup. That's why you guys who are tuning in live on the stream right now have not seen it. I'm just excited to be here. It wasn't a massive risk. I was putting this out there, but as soon as I said it last week, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous. But yeah, let's go. Week 3. What are we starting with?
Week 3 picks. Before we start, hello, everybody. Are you dealing with those uncomfortable, scratchy toilet paper moments? Say goodbye to the chafe and say hello to the comfort with Dude Wipes, the ultimate game changer for your bathroom routine. Dude Wipes are here to bring you the cleanest, most refreshing experience possible. Infused with natural aloe vitamin E, they're designed to pamper your behind and leave you feeling fresh and clean all day long. Plus, they're flushable and biodegradable, so you can feel good about doing right by the planet while you're at it. Whether you're at home or on the go, dude wipes are perfect for every situation. Toss them in your gym bag, keep a pack in the car, emergency poop kit, or stash them in your desk drawer wherever you need a quick cleanup or a moment of refreshment. So if you're ready to upgrade from basic toilet paper to a new level of cleanliness and comfort, grab some dude wipes today because your behind deserves the best. And with dude wipes, you're always ahead of the game. Texas Pete, TP, dude wipe pick of the week. This is our biggest, most important segment. This is what's keeping us on air. This is what's keeping the lights on for this podcast. TP, are you ready to just kind of talk through your Texas Pete's Texas play of the week for week 3 football?
Yes, we are. So that is going to be Texas A&M at Florida in the Swamp. Spreads at A&M -3.5, over under at 46.5. I'm a man who learns from his mistakes. I'm not going to make the same mistake 3 times. That's for fucking sure. Freshman Florida quarterback DJ Lagway getting his second career start in the Swamp after the Gators ended Graham Mertz's career for good. Loser. Stat sheet looked good for DJ, but like I said, I'm learning from my mistakes. I will be fading any Florida domiciled quarterback named DJ for the foreseeable future. A&M -3.5 for the second installment of Texas Pete's Texas Play of the Week, presented by Dude Wipes. Any other thoughts on this game, boys?
I love DJ Lagway. You don't lead the country, led the country in passing. Almost 500 yards passing. Granted, you're playing Samford, but that was a prove it game for him. I think this one will be even more so.
Is Samford a prove it game, or is it get your feet wet game?
For him, he's got to earn his job as QB1. Granted, your competition's Graham Mertz, but I will say I think A&M's defense is why they will win and cover. If Connor Wigman just looks a little bit less shitty, even just a little bit, they can just find a way to pound the rock, maybe, just run the ball. I just don't think Florida has it at all.
I agree. This team's dead in the water. Napier's gone unless he does something miraculous. I like Lagway as well. Lagway, Wigman and Lagway getting mixed up there. But I don't know if this is the game to throw him into. With A&M, Elko, great defensive tactician. Maybe you let Graham Mertz go out there and struggle in the first half and bring in Lagway. I know this guy's coaching for his job and not for the future damn near at this point, but it feels like a bit of a snake pit game for the freshman. I like pick TP.
Thank you very much.
That's a wild lock.
That's not the lock, but the Texas Pete's Texas Play of the Week, presented by Dude Wipe.
All right, my bad. I got it twisted.
All right, Friday's game. What do you say we start off the weekend?
Could we not skip over my play of the week, which is on Thursday night?
Ooh,
yeah. Why would we? Go ahead and just intro that one yourself, big boy.
Fellas, 30 minutes north of San Antonio, 30 minutes south of Austin, Texas, a little town called San Marcos will be hosting a very, very fun football game. I'm debating driving down and going to this thing for my Thursday night festivities. Sage,
love it.
She's out of town on a work trip. I don't even know if anyone would go with me. I might go by myself and just make some new friends.
Chisum's like Tyreek Hill in the end zone.
Baby.
Break off the chains, baby.
Eat 'em up, Cats. They're hosting 2-0 Arizona State team. Both of these teams coming in 2-0. Arizona State, I want to give them some flowers. They do look significantly better this year already than they have last year, maybe even 2 years ago. But the Bobcats, we're eating them up, Cats. They finished Saturday very, very strongly as Arizona State almost blew a 27-point lead with less than 18 minutes to go against a Mississippi State team that I'm also looking into this week. Literally, I think the biggest things that I'm looking at for this game is that Texas State's at home and they're an underdog. Granted, it's only by a point and a half, 2 points right now, but that's more juice than we probably should be getting for what should be a pick'em game. This is a team that was completely changed due to the transfer portal. They're kind of like the Fred Hoiberg era at Iowa State for college basketball, but in football terms. If you've ever wondered what that would look like, look at Texas State 2 years ago versus last year. And then again this year, they're just running the veer with the best of them. In my mind, anytime you have a home underdog, especially in a game that should be this close, you got to just give them a little bit of love. I'm so in on Texas State. They're such a sneaky, fun program because no one knows they really even exist. But then also they're starting to become weirdly relevant because of the conference that they're playing in. I think they're Sun Belt. I think they're Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But the fact that you're getting a couple of points at home, I'm going to scrap the points and I'm just going straight in to the money line.
Love it.
Whatever it's juiced at, whether it's plus 110, plus 115, we're taking it. That's my first play, and I think this is going to be one that really puts them on the map, getting a win over a Power 4 team.
Book it. Play of the week for Chisum. 45 minutes.
Eat 'em up, Cats.
Eat 'em up, Cats. If you go to that game, let us know. Maybe take some. Just let us know. Would love to follow along with you, knowing that you're there. Talking about Eat 'em up, Cats. Let's go to the Pussycat game of the week on Friday. The Arizona Wildcats will be visiting your Kansas State Wildcats in the Little Apple, Manhattan. This is a game I have circled. I know Texas Pete does as well. Let Texas Pete kick it off. And Chisholm, fucking A. The Three Musketeers on this game.
Let's have some fun here.
All right. So spread for this game is Kansas State minus 7.5, over under at 58. I think this is a big time show who you are spot for Avery Johnson in Kansas State. I like that they had a little bit of adversity last week against Tulane, being down 10 points at half. It could be a lot different than a lot of other teams around the country where they just had cakewalks week 1 and 2. But these guys came out and they had a battle for the win, and I think that's a valuable experience for the young quarterback. And hopefully it'll translate into this week, which is why I am taking Kansas State, laying the points at 7.5, whatever it's going to be closing at. When I book it. Arizona has an electric offense, can be spotty at times, as seen last week. I was reading the injury report. It looks like they were missing 2 starting linemen. TBD, if they're going to be returning for this game. Obviously a short week. Not looking good for them, but locking it in. K-State minus 7.5.
Every man a Wildcat. For this game, I got Arizona over team total 26.5. I think that Kansas State very well could win this game. 7.5 scares me a little bit. What I'd like to see from Kansas State at least is Avery Johnson, maybe with a little bit more carries. We all know this kid is electric with the ball in his hands, and rightfully so. They've been minimizing, some of those quarterback runs. Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson, these are guys we see in the NFL running a lot in week 1, and it's effective, but it just makes you turtle up a little bit as a fan, knowing that, hey, there's 16 weeks of football left, and we got to save some of this package for the high leverage situations, for the big games. I do think they will crack out some of these quarterback runs, but frankly, they haven't needed to. EJ Giddens, his over-under for rushing yards this game is over 100. The dude's been eating it up on the grounds, eat 'em up, Cats. And then we got Dylan Edwards as well, who's averaging over 10 yards per carry on the ground for the Cats, the former Colorado Buff running back. And that's kind of my insights on the Cats. We'll see if Avery Johnson is able to throw the ball outside the numbers. He hasn't done that super successfully so far. On the flip side, Arizona, you got Fifita and McMillan. These are guys that you'll probably hear this a bunch of times as they become more and more household names. People are calling them the most electric duo in college football. Obviously, week 1, Fifita threw for 6 touchdowns. Last week, as Texas Pete said, pretty spotty. I didn't like what I saw. They could have been shutting it down a little bit in preparation for this game. I expect those offensive linemen to be back, but you never know. As you said, short week. And this Kansas State team, on the flip side, as much as I think their offense has looked reasonably well, they're getting points, they're getting the job done. The defense has been equally as shoddy, with holes, big play potential, maybe not the athletes you need in the secondary to keep up with this Arizona Wildcat team in the air. Mixed emotions. I think Kansas State at home gets this done. But I also think that if they are to get it done, we can see a very similar score to where they won against Tulane, a 34-27, a 42-34. I mean, that's not really a football score, but I think there's a little bit more wiggle room with that Arizona team total of 26.5.
Jack, I'm on the same thing, except I got a better line. Thanks to Bet365, we actually got 24.5.
Wow.
So guess what, buddy? Your day just got better. Jack and I are both now on Arizona's team total to be over 24.5. The number in my mind, I don't know how we found it this low, because K-State's team total is only 34.5, but the spread on this game is 7.5. Like, it should be closer to that 26, even 27.5 number for Arizona's team total. But Bet365,
Get on there.
just
Get on that quick.
If you want to wave that in front of my face, I'm going to take it every single time. I agree with pretty much all of the things that you guys have both said already. I need to see more out of K-State. I feel like Avery Johnson is just a fun quarterback to watch. I also know that K-State just gave up over 300 yards to the redshirt freshman quarterback out of Tulane, and they're supposed to be one of the better defenses, I thought, within the Big 12. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think they've proven that yet. While I do think that they win this game, I don't think that they hold the Fifita-McMillan combo to less than 3 scores, or at least 2. I feel like this is going to be a very fun, fast-paced
Friday
game.
night Big 12 football.
Friday night Big
Agreed.
12 football
Agreed,
is just
exactly what I was
fun.
just going to say. Great standalone game.
We know what Big 12 defenses are. Their main priority is bend, don't break, even though they do find ways to break fairly often. We'll have to find a new manufacturer for the conference's defensive scheme. But all I know is that Fifita has started 11 games, and in those games, Arizona's averaging 34.6 points per game. I think this is one that, even if you can't get that 24.5 number on Bet365, I would still take that all the way up to 27.5. I think that this is potentially another one-score matchup, and it's not because it's going to be a defensive standoff between the two.
Yeah, I agree. One last point to make. New OC at Kansas State. So just keep that in mind watching this game. It'll be fascinating to just see how they run their offense. Kleiman obviously has a lot of impact on the run game and the blocking schemes. That's kind of what he's known for. But they've been doing a little bit more of a West Coast style, which is a departure from Colin Klein and the way he ran in his offense. I mean, if you're going to have a running quarterback, right, who better to OC it than Heisman finalist Colin Klein? So fired up for this game. Great one to lead us off here. Should we move on to Saturday? I don't think there's really anything else. I don't know. Sometimes Adam's got like a sneaky play.
I don't think I have any on Friday. I might be mistaken, but
All right, let's go to Kansas. I think they're hosting UNLV. That's -7.
Friday?
Yeah, I got burnt on this one last week. Kansas just straight up had a fucking bad game, and Jalen Daniels had an even worse one. And while they did have a giveaway loss at Illinois, the line moved way too much as a response to that loss. UNLV beat one of the worst teams in all of the FCS last week. And the fact that this game is in the single digits, when a week ago this line is going to be, 10 points plus as far as chalk that you'd have to eat. The fact that you're getting this right at a touchdown is insane. It's the biggest overreaction I think Vegas has had in a hot second. Daniels has never necessarily been a worry when it comes to turning the ball over. And with how much of a playmaker Jalen Daniels is as well, it's going to stress a pretty much untested Rebel defense with UNLV. They prefer to run the ball, and Kansas is significantly better statistically at defending the run than the pass. And when you combine that with a bit of a defensive edge, combining that with the playmaking ability of a Jalen Daniels, and then you just happen to have Devin Neal right next to him in the backfield, I think that this is going to be one of the easiest covers of the week. I cannot believe we're getting it at -7, so hurry up and hit it before it moves further, because it should be a double-digit spread.
I like that, Adam. I haven't looked much into this game. I will say this is a big game for Jalen. Kotelnicki's gone. He doesn't look nearly as comfortable in the pocket, getting through progressions. I don't necessarily think is a strong suit. Even if you're not a guy that can get through progressions and you're working with a new OC who isn't able to scheme it up nearly as well, there could be issues there. As a guy that had the over on Kansas, Illinois last week that missed, just keeping an eye out on Jalen. I don't disagree with the pick or the bet. I just think it's a bit of a show me game, tell me game, but for future down the line.
I'm with you. but I think they show and tell.
Show and tell. That's 2 plays to start off the greatest gambling weekend of your life this Friday. What do you say we go into Saturday's slate, gentlemen? Starting at noon.
Let's do it.
One that I have circled on my, that's 11 Central for you guys. Starting at noon, Saturday. One that I've circled on my calendar. A real fun matchup. Some storied franchises. Bama in Camp Randall at Wisconsin. 15.5-point favorites. Over under at 50.5. I personally have no reason to doubt Kalen DeBoer at this point. Bama's 1-1 at the spread, but they've also won both their games for a combined score of 105-16. These guys are going out competing. DeBoer knows the expectations are on him, and the expectations, rightfully so, as referenced earlier in this episode, are college football playoffs and national title or bust. He has these on him, inheriting probably the greatest coaching legacy of college football from Nick Saban. I have no reason to doubt him yet. I really haven't seen anything impressive come from this Wisconsin team. I'm going to be laying the points at 15.5. It's important to note, though, that Bama does have a real tester coming up next week with Georgia coming in town in Tuscaloosa. So I think you could go one or two ways. It's either going to be a tune-up game for him, be firing on all cylinders while the big dog comes into town, or it's going to be a major look-ahead spot. I'm going to favor the former and lay the points, Bama minus 15.
I love this play. I want to chime in really quickly. I think Wisconsin is one of those teams where everybody wants to be higher on them because of their ability to play tough physical Big Ten football. We watched them not do it to the level of extent that Vegas thought they would against Western Michigan. That was one of the easiest covers I've ever had. I think that was week 0. But then, looking at the rest of Wisconsin's season, like they're just trying to make a push and sneak in and do something worth noting in the Big Ten.
9 wins.
Tyler Van Dyke has yet to really prove anything about who we thought he would be as a quarterback. Like, he has kind of just sputtered since he became a starter. Miami, was he at? Was he at Kentucky the year before that? I don't recall. I feel like he transferred.
No,
I thought he transferred in from somewhere, but his over-under of passing yards right now is 182. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you're projected to be around 180 yards passing against an Alabama team in which you're definitely not going to have a lead against, with Heisman contender Jalen Milroe also at quarterback still, I love taking Bama here. I think this could be a huge game, not just for Bama, but for all of the SEC, because there's been a lot of hype trains pumping Big Ten with the emergence of, I guess Oregon more so, but, Ohio State's always a contender.
Better than advertised at the beginning of the year. I think they're a team that people are circling.
But I do want to say that according to Action Network, looking at where the current lines are, looking where the money is currently as well, 93% of bets currently are on Bama to cover 16.5. So if this is a game that you want to get in on, you better move quick because it's not going to be dropping at any point. There's also very, very heavy movement for money totals. There's 75% of the money coming in on the under, which is also dropped to 49.5 across the majority of books right now too. So this is a game that I feel like the books are calling for, and they think it will be a fairly dominant win from Bama, while their defense is going to also hold Wisconsin. So I think however you want to play this, feel free, but I feel like another great look is the team total over for Bama. And then on the flip side, you could even look at the under for Wisconsin, because I just don't see them having a very successful day moving the ball downfield against Bama, even though they're at home.
Here's my quick take on the game. You said, Bama hasn't shown me anything, to make me believe differently, right? I don't know. Last week wasn't great. They were only up 1 point going into the fourth quarter against South Florida. They got outrushed by South Florida. South Florida ran for over 200 yards. I think the secondary, upon review and upon the watch the tape guys that you listen to or try and follow, maybe had some gaps in the secondary. With that said, I don't think this Wisconsin team is going to be able to take advantage of those gaps. I do not believe in Van Dyke, and I do think this is probably a get-right game for Bama. Reminds me a lot of, Iowa, just when they get matched up against greater talent, better opponent, a lot of the stuff they want to do with the grinded out football style just doesn't work out as well. I mean, look at last year against Penn State or Michigan where we scored 0 points both those games. I'm not saying that Wisconsin's going to be scoreless, but I could kind of see the game going that style. A little preview, looking to next week, I'm going to be all over the dogs as long as the line isn't too much. I mean, anything 13.5 and below, I'll probably, or in 13.5 and below, I'll probably take the dogs.
I also want to say, I know that they didn't cover last week. It was like a 30-point spread, I want to say, against USF. But if we're going year over year, right, Bama kind of just barely scraped that one out last year. They were tied going into halftime against USF, ended up winning 17-3. Look at the final score this year, 42-16 this year. I think you can already look at Bama and say their offense has got it going a lot better this year than they started out last year.
I would agree with that. That USF game last year was definitely an odd one. I think Saban was sticking it to fans, honestly, by trotting out a Ty Simpson at quarterback and running as bland of an offense as possible to be like, all right, we're going to be with Milroe. Like, you guys keep bitching. Look at what we got here.
Yeah. It was Tyler Buckner, wasn't it? The Notre Dame transfer, who is now a lacrosse player and wide receiver walk-on at Notre Dame.
Shit, you're right. It was Tyler Buckner, not Ty Simpson. Somehow Ty Simpson led the team in passing that game.
Yeah, I think they went with two different quarterbacks. I think Milroe got benched.
Milroe got benched. It was a total fuck you to the fan game from Saban.
Yeah. Well, no, the game before Milroe deserved to be benched. Like, he looked terrible to start the game.
Maybe, but
yeah, but it was Nick Saban's last year, like he wasn't doing anything like, oh, maybe next year. Like, that was it for him, and he knew it. But
let's go. I got a game I guess we can quickly touch on. I got Memphis +6. Let's go to this one. Let's go. I think a couple people are on this game. West Virginia at Pitt.
I got backyard brawl.
It should be an absolute doozy. West Virginia is down to -1.5. You got to throw the record books out. We've been saying it on these rivalry games, but I think this West Virginia team that is getting downgraded a little bit for a tough look against Penn State is better than they showed that game, or gonna be getting better. They returned their backfield from last year with C.J. Donaldson and Jaheim White, so I think those guys are gonna be able to move the ball against a Pittsburgh team that simply shouldn't have won against Cincinnati last week. They were down 21 at one point. Their QB had 5 turnover-worthy plays, which I think turnover-worthy plays can be a crock of shit sometimes, but 5 turnover-worthy plays only ended up with 1 turnover. People are taking a little bit too much into account for that W and not enough for kind of just how they played and how they looked throughout the course of the game. So we're all over 1.5 for West Virginia against Pitt.
I'm right there with you. I'm going up to 2.5 even. I think if you can get 2.5 or better, take it. Mainly because I'm out on Pittsburgh. This is a team that, okay, you're 2-0. Let's check how we got there. Last week they were trailing 27-6 against debatably the worst team in the Big 12 in Cincinnati this year. They come back and they win 28-7. Great. Bit of a red flag though when you look at the week before. We just talked about Kent State and how bad they are. They let Kent State hang around for the better part of 3 quarters. I don't really think that Pat Narduzzi is a good coach for Pitt or for any program in the country. He's proven time and time again that he can't get it done, number one. But number two, the guy just consistently has the worst quotes that you could ever in a million. Like, he makes Brian Kelly look like a Nobel Peace Prize winner when it comes to getting to the podium after tough losses. So I think this is another one that both of these teams definitely have circled. The backyard brawl is one of the more underrated rivalries, I would say, in the country. But I think the ability to get West Virginia -2.5, if you're inside of a field goal, I think that could be all the difference. Ideally, I want to get them at -1.5. So really, really think about buying down to that point. But
I think FanDuel's got them at 1.5 right now.
Did they move? Did the line?
Money's coming in.
Wow.
I think so.
yeah, if the money's coming in on Pitt, let it. Fade that all day. I know for a fact that West Virginia is going to be the team that Vegas is backing. I think, is it Eli Holstein as the quarterback for Pitt? He's got a lot of promise, a lot of potential. I know that they're high on him, but I don't think that the skill players Pittsburgh has are going to be able to get it done. And I know for a fact that their defense is it's not quite what it was when Aaron Donald was playing there, and it hasn't been probably ever since. A lot of regression year over year for this team, and I feel like they're just trying to find some level of consistency that's not 500 or worse. So while they continue to figure that out, I'm going to continue to win off of the teams that they're playing against. So, yeah, let's go West Virginia -2.5 with you.
Yep, got to play on this game
One-
too.
one-
1.5.
1.5.
I got to play on this game too. We are going for the sloppy, greasy, gritty backyard brawl play. Under 64.5 seems like a lot of points. Just pure system play coming in with the rivalry, freshly renewed at that. I believe this is the second or third time they've matched up in the past decade or something. So these guys are getting back after it, renewing the rivalry again. Going to take the under there, 64.5.
A lot of plays, a lot of things we could talk about. Maybe Capshy. Let's just keep rolling over to you. We got Mizzou. Why don't you tell us why you're thinking Mizzou's maybe your play of the week?
Yeah,
Not
this is
play of
the
week, but
last
just
one.
Another play. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is the last one I really want to talk through. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 more plays that I'm going to throw out with little to no context because we're already up to hour
Damn near
20
an
here.
hour and a half. Yeah.
We tossed on Mizzou last week, just kind of looking at it as it was and saying, you know what, this is a Buffalo team that doesn't really have anything going for them in the secondary. And what does Missouri do? They say, fuck you, watch this. They go 263 through the air, 255 on the ground, dominating and holding their opponent to 0 points yet again. I believe Mizzou is the only team in the country to pitch 2 shutouts on defense back-to-back games. Granted, we're not really looking at the best level of competition, but the fact that their ground game is humming is, if you're in the SEC and you already see the Brady Cook, Luther Burden III connection, LB3, you should be a little bit nervous that they're getting as much going on the ground as they are. Nate Noel, App State transfer, has had a great start to the year. I know that Boston College, being their opponent, they did stall Florida State's run game a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, though. Like, Boston College is one of those teams that it's like, I think they're getting there. I think they will be there because this is a game that's at Mizzou, if I'm not mistaken. So I got to triple check this because if Boston College is wearing their red bandana jerseys, we're going the exact opposite.
Would they do that on the road?
With
Seems
today.
Seems like a home thing.
I don't know.
You look it up.
I'm checking right now, but yeah, if someone can figure out if they're wearing the red bandana jerseys this week or not, I would appreciate that more than you know. But going into this one, I just feel like the spread within this game is treating it like Boston College was an undervalued or was a victor over an undervalued Florida State team, which we know for a fact that Florida State is not undervalued. If anything, they're overvalued. Before Boston College goes in and beats FSU, Missouri probably would have been favored upwards of 3 scores. But having them, once again, similar to that Kansas line, having it only be 15.5, it might be another massive overreaction out of Vegas. But once again, if I'm unsure and if Boston College is in fact coming out and wearing the red bandana uniform, they're not.
I can confirm they are not for this game.
All right. So then in that case, we don't need to worry about anything. Definitely lock in Missouri minus 15.5. We wait for Boston College to throw on the red bandana uniforms, and then that will most likely be a play of the year for me.
October 21st, circle your calendars.
Wait,
October
they're waiting till
21st.
October?
Set a reminder. I got 2 quick plays I want to hit, then we'll toss it over to TP for his last play, then we'll let Cabs run through the remaining ones on his card. All right, here we go. Memphis plus 6.5. Down against Florida State. Sometimes you are who your record says you are. Florida State is now 0-2 with losses to Georgia Tech and Boston College. In those losses, they only had 2.5 yards per carry. DJ, he can't throw the ball downfield. He's under 50% adjusted rate on downfield attempts, over 10 yards. He ranks 78th out of QBs on that many attempts. If you can't run the ball and you can't throw the ball downfield, that's a recipe for disaster on offense. This Memphis team, I think they're pretty solid. Hennigan, the starter there, he's back for his 4th year. He was second team All ACC. I think they're going to be down there ready to play.
AAC.
AAC, thank you.
Yep, I got you.
I got this game more around 2.5. I think a lot of the models do as well. Just 6.5 is a lot. I wouldn't go so far as say system play as Texas Pete might, but it feels like we're getting a little bit too many points here for a solid Memphis team against a Florida State team that could just be bad. I mean, last year we saw TCU make it to the national championship game the follow-up year, just not the same team. I think in the era of transfer portal and the era of NIL, you got to be on or off a team quickly. You can't just rest on whatever they did last year, expecting them to carry it over. So that's one play. Any thoughts real quick?
I'm also on Memphis here for several reasons. A lot of them being what you already said. I think for anyone that watched the Sunday night game, you saw the impact and how active both Fiske and Jared Verse were for the Rams. Neither of those guys being at Florida State hurts, but even more so, I feel like we realized, hey, if Florida State doesn't have like a very, very good quarterback, we saw what happened last year when Jordan Travis went out. They got absolutely smoked. And then at the same time, we know what they look like this year on defense without the playmakers of Jared Verse and Fiske that they had last year. On top of all of that, you're getting a 4th-year starter, like you just said, in Hennigan, who ranked 10th nationally in EPA among quarterbacks who attempted more than 100 passes last season. I think AAC has Memphis Tigers as champions written all over it, or at least they're contending to do so. And on top of that, you have a Florida State team who is ranking 104th right now in PFF's coverage grade. The PFF grade, it's not biblical by any terms. It's not gospel, but if you're ranked that high or that low, it's pointing you somewhere, and it smells like shit. And they do hold the mark of 111th EPA as a defense as well. So I think there's a huge advantage here to not only take Memphis, plus what was it, 5, 6.5?
I got 6.5, but sprinkle money line.
Sprinkle the money line in this one because Florida State has yet to prove that they're able to win a game this year against even less competition. I think I would rather be on Memphis than I would be on Boston College against them. And, we just watched what they did.
Seminole fans have been notoriously, I don't know if wishy-washy is the right word, but I don't know if there's going to be that big of a home field advantage either for this game.
What do you have to come out for? That was last game that you had to come out and be like, hey, you're home now, we'll support you. And they still lost. So, bleachers should be empty. They won't be because this is too proud of a program. But, yeah, this could be the game that ends Norvell's career. And
he's got a little bit of a leash after last year.
If he loses this game and he goes 0-3 to start the year, I don't think there's any leash left. I think he's floating freely and hoping the space station doesn't leave him
They
behind.
were undefeated regular season last year, and the program was in a terrible place when he got it.
Yeah, but now it's right back there.
I think you can make the case in the NIL era that there's going to be ups and downs there's very few programs there won't be ups and downs left.
If they weren't losing recruits left and right, I think they were at least 4-star, if not 5-star recruits that just flipped over the weekend. So if they want to be successful in the future, they might have to, they're for sure in between a rock and a hard place right now.
Maybe this is the season where the boosters upgrade the car model and they get one with heated seats. But currently there's no heated seats in the car.
None. You don't need heated seats in Florida, but maybe there's a cold front coming that no one else saw, and maybe you want that feature now. Like, we'll see.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna just hammer this one out and then pass it off to TP. OK State at Tulsa. I'm taking Tulsa plus 20.5. First of all, major kudos to Oklahoma State for even playing this game on the road against a little brother opponent in state. That's great. I wish more teams would do this. So shout out Gundy and OK State. On the flip side, though, Oklahoma State does not look very good in their first couple weeks. They were outgained both week 1 and week 2. In fact, last week against Sam Pittman's Arkansas team, they were outgained by 300 yards. Arkansas players lost that game in between the ears. That was not a game they should have lost. Tulane, on the other hand, I think they've looked pretty good. They played 2 G5 schools. They're 1-1 in those games against Eastern Carolina, and Tulane with a 2-point victory and a 2-point loss. I feel like they're not a terrible team by any means. They're going to be middle of the road, upper end G5, G6. On the flip side, Colin Oliver, the best linebacker for Oklahoma State, got injured last week, and they have a D2 transfer that's going to be coming in and replacing wearing the red dot for that defense. So,
Obi
I think
Ezigbo.
Oklahoma State's going to win this game. Don't doubt it. But I think Tulsa at home, 11 a.m. game. They come out, they make things crafty. And if they don't make things crafty in the first quarter, right, I think they run through the finish line. Oklahoma State's got back-to-back opponents that are going to be ranked the following 2 weeks in Big 12 play. Maybe it's more of a game where Oklahoma State shuts it down. 20.5 is just a lot of points for this type of game on an early Saturday morning on the road against the little brother team that has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah, I'm also on this as one of the extra
Sweet.
plays that I have.
We're dialed in, dude.
I mean, dude, Oklahoma State should be so much better on offense specifically than they have been. The fact that they won against Arkansas is a blessing in and of itself. I think they put up 385 yards, but they gave up 648 and still won the game. And it was purely because Arkansas had, I think 4 turnovers, and a lot of them were just random fumbles here, a muff punt there. It was just little things that somehow kept happening. I honestly was sitting watching some of the first half, this is the easiest cover of all time for Arkansas plus 10. But then obviously, it was a 8-point finish. So we snuck out with that one in overtime. But Oklahoma State right now ranks 119th nationally in net yards per play margin, minus 1.83. For the folks at home that are curious, who might be in 118th? That would be Temple. The Temple Owls, a team that is literal dog shit, ranks higher than an Oklahoma State team with Mike Gundy at the helm and a potential Heisman favorite in Ollie Gordon II, who they just haven't really done it yet. While Ollie might have a fantastic game here, 20.5 is just way too much to be at Little Brother Stadium, right? It's an 11 a.m. kickoff, Central, Texas Pete, noon your time. But then I think the biggest thing here is that this is Tulsa's game of the year. Their hair is going to be on fire. They're going to be playing out of their asses. This is, the one that they probably had circled in the off season.
It's a good spot.
And
it's a good spot.
It's a great spot to be in for Tulsa with all the points you just said, Jack, about having Utah and K-State coming up. And the fact that you're going up against a team that is 3-point or 3-score underdogs. And I don't know. I don't think it helps to be, going into overtime in the weeks prior either. That's just never good for the durability or the stamina going into next week. So yeah, I think Tulsa 20.5 is a great play.
Lock it in. Texas Pete, take us down south.
Yes, sir. Going off the theme of games that are circled on a schedule, we have the Apple Cup. Washington State and Washington playing this weekend. Spread is at 4.5 points. Washington's favored. Over-unders at 56. First-year head coach for the Washington Huskies, Jed Fish, needs to take his licks before crowning himself Apple Cup King of the World. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm curious if we can get our stat intern to look into it, what the head coach winning percentage is for a first-year head coach in a rivalry game. Something to think about. I don't think it's that favorable. Wazoo doesn't really have isn't playing anyone notable this season. So this is the one that they've had their eyes on all off season. They didn't need the extra motivation, playing Washington, but, just given the Pac-12 exits, this definitely added some more coal to the fire here. I'm going to take the dogs in this one. Give me Wazoo plus 4.5. Like I said, they're going to be looking forward to this one all season. No further explanation needed than that. And then the last game that I have on my plays for the week is going to be UGA at Kentucky, Georgia, 24-point favorites as of taping. This is purely a Kentucky fade spot. Kentucky put up less than 100 yards of total offense last weekend in Columbia against South Carolina. I didn't watch this game personally. I was too busy getting my heart broken by the Hawkeyes. But by all accounts, Kentucky's offensive line was just miserable. I don't see them improving week over week, let alone with the caliber of athletes that are lining up for the Bulldogs. Laying the points on this one, UGA -24. And that's all I got. Chisum, why don't you wrap it up for us?
Yeah. I will say, speaking of dogs, quick shout out to the Drake Bulldogs of Des Moines,
Nice.
who were actually the biggest underdog victors last week. It was not Northern Illinois. It was Drake having a 35-point spread that they not only overcame, but won outright against Eastern Washington.
Everybody
Phenomenal
knows when it
stuff
comes to
out of the boys in
programs,
blue.
Eastern Washington, Notre Dame, put them in the same breath.
For sure. Not having that conversation again, but I will
Both non-power
go
forwards.
to the Washington. I will go to the Washington State game, and
Nice.
I'm going to be opposite of you in this one, TP.
Spicy.
I think Washington State, they've looked great in their first two of the year. Putting up 70 against Portland State's always a good feeling, and then, getting 37 to 16 in week 2 against Texas Tech, to be specific. I don't know if they got a Raider rash situation going on or what, but they're going to have to figure it out quick. I think this is going to be a very fun in-state rivalry game like we've been talking about. I'm really high on Will Rogers. I know he was a Mississippi State guy, like the last quarterback to be under Leach before he tragically passed. He was yucking the ball 40, upwards of 50 times a game, and watching him do it in a scheme now where he's doing it for less than 30, it's suiting him well thus far. He was damn near perfect with 11.6 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, and a passing grade from PFF of 90.2 last Saturday against Eastern Michigan. The only reason they're not throwing the ball more for Washington is purely because they have an elite running back who transferred in from Arizona. His name is Jonah Coleman. And while I will say, with this being a year 0 situation with Jed Fish, last year when he was with the Wildcats, he was averaging 6.1 yards a carry. He led college football with over 5 yards per carry after contact. Coleman, I'm still speaking on Coleman. He followed his coach here. And also he destroyed Washington State's defense last year, both Fish and Coleman alike. They hung 44 on these guys, over 500 yards of offense. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game if it is close, but worst case scenario, I think you're going to see a Washington team kind of just have their way with a defense that might not be as good as they would be should they be in a Power 5, now Power 4 conference. So I think it's worth noting as well, to TP's point, John Mateer, who was the backup for Cam Ward last year, definitely not the same caliber quarterback. I don't know how you could be, but this dude can fucking run. His scrambling ability, he actually put up 197 yards rushing as a quarterback, and he also had a score against the Red Raiders. But I also think that the Red Raiders defense is just gutted from last year. So with the ability for Washington to bring in a few solid D linemen from the portal, hold Eastern Michigan to less than or just about 2 yards per carry last week, I wouldn't be that worried about Mateer. I would just make sure that I'm game planning for that. I think there's a lot of value to have on Washington only being -4, but I don't know. After listening to some of the points that TP made, maybe we turn around and we touch the ground and freeze and just throw it all on Wazoo and the money line. But
who knows? It's fun when TP gets a head-to-head matchup. I think he's maybe 0-2 or 0-3 so far on the year. He's looking for his first win.
We're 1-1.
Well, I had 3 plays for week 1 against his that hit, but then he took me heads here at Syracuse last week. I had Georgia Tech, and he's on the board. I'm on the board. We'll see how things look here in week 3.
Rock'em sock'em. Well, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in.
I got a few more.
Yeah, fuck me. All right, just rip through them, baby.
Really quick. Central Michigan. They got 20 points to play with at Illinois. Once again, I think this probably shouldn't be a 20-point spread. Vegas overreacting to that game last week. Central Michigan being a MAC team, we've seen MAC teams hang in with the Big Ten, i.e. Western Michigan at Wisco earlier this year. I think that's one that's probably closer to a 2-score game than it is a 3-score game, if that. So give me CMU plus 20. Utah versus Utah State. I know I brought this up earlier. We were so down bad last week. We had everything trending in the right direction for that Utah team total over and the over in the game as a whole. Cam Rising gets hurt. It all goes to shit. I'm expecting the same thing here against the Utah State offense that has Spencer Petras trotted out as their starting quarterback. So give me the under of 45.5 in that one. I will be also on 2 more.
Is Spencer Petras the Spencer Petras of Rocky Lombardi's?
Yeah.
Right.
I think Cam Rising is more so, But yeah, Spencer needs to hang it up. Just become a guitar teacher and, sail off into the sunset. 2 other ones that I'm on, Mississippi State. No, I brought them up previously. I'm on them minus 12.5 or better against a Toledo Rockets team that, while I have given the MAC their props time and time again on this podcast, I think going up against an SEC opponent in Mississippi State, it's going to be a little bit different sledding against SEC rather than, some of the middle of the road to lower tier Big Ten teams. The Bulldogs did have a few too many snaps, in my opinion, against ASU, I believe. But Toledo saw even more against a UMass team that we already had faded in week 1. So not really that big of a fan of the roster Toledo has right now. They lost so much talent on defense. And then on top of that, they lost DeQuan Finn as their quarterback and pretty much, I think, all 5 of their starting O-linemen. So this is just a classic fade Toledo spot more than fade the MAC. So I'll take Mississippi State minus 11.5 if you can get them there. I know they're maybe up to 12.5 on some other books, but 12.5 or better is what I'll say for that. And then the last one would be Wyoming. We're talking Cowboys, proud alma mater of the Joshua Allen. They're getting 11 points against a BYU team that, for the most part, I'm still waiting to be impressed by. I feel like BYU every year is always better than you would expect on paper. Similar to the Mom Talk Mormon TV show that just dropped. I caught a couple episodes of that, and let me tell you, it's something. This game will be ugly. There's not really much to want to watch in this one, but for PM Central kickoff on CBS, you get to watch the Pokes, who look lost. Full transparency through their first 2 games, but they're going against a BYU team that's traveling to Laramie, which sneaky home field advantage in Wyoming. Some of that elevation can have an effect on their opponents. I don't think it'll have as much of an effect on a Provo team. There's definitely some elevation that they're playing with there as well, but I think that we've seen Wyoming start slow multiple times. I know they did last year. They're 0-2 to start, this year after getting butt fucked in Tempe and then losing at home to FCS Idaho. But I think this is a big time buy low spot for Wyoming. And the total is only at 40.5 too. So if you're getting a quarter of the points in the spread, I think that's more than worth it. So I don't really want to talk too much more about this game because it honestly makes me sad. I just know that I will be on the Cowboys. Let's go Pokes.
Nice.
Have some fun. That's it for
Let's
me.
go
All right.
Pokes. Eat 'em up, Cats. Every man a wildcat. I don't know. Nothing better than college football and the things fans say. Hawk, hawk, hawk. Higginize. Well, hey, thanks for listening, everybody. You got the State of the Union from Adam, Notre Dame football. It'll be back. I can't tell if I'm frozen or not right now.
You're doing all right.
That's
You're definitely choppy on my end, but keep her going.
Well, hey, shit. I mean, fucking A. Thanks for listening, everybody. Let's go Hawks. ND football. We'll see where they go. A lot of big plays this weekend. I'll just read them off. We'll get the graphic out. I'll read off mine, and we'll just go down the line. If anybody has anything they want to say, now's your time to just let it fly. Check out the Instagram. Check out the Twitter. Like and subscribe. Hello?
Turner, I was just going to ask real quick.
Yeah.
While you regain yourself. Texas Peter, are you not feeling Purdue this week? I feel like that was a play that I for sure saw in your future. Are you backing off of that now?
No, I'm staying away from it. But to be quite honest, I'd be leaning towards the Irish as a save face game. I mean, it's 10 points last I checked. I'm not going to be touching it personally, but just something to keep on the radar there. I'm not full
I
on.
kind of love.
I'm not putting my money on it, but I mean, I do like seeing it.
Kind of love Purdue this week. So
Is that out of spite?
Turning
Is
your
that
back on
coming
the
from your
fan
heart,
base,
or is
turning
that
your
coming
back
from your
on the
brain?
team.
If you bet,
All
you
these
can't put
action
your
bets
heart
is coming from
into
your
it.
heart.
Sure, but this is also a conference that's bring your lunch pail to work every day.
Yep.
Oh, I mean,
Kind of what Notre Dame used to be about.
Purdue, yeah. Sorry, I'm done.
All right. I will summarize my plays for the week. I got 6 of them. Feeling good about the number 6. Got me on the board last week. Hoping to keep the momentum going. I got UGA -24 at Kentucky. Wazoo +4.5 versus Washington. A&M -3 at Florida. Bama -15.5 at Wisco. K-State -7 versus Arizona. West Virginia at Pitt under 64.5 backyard brawl.
Awesome. Love it. Real quick, we got Arizona over team total 26.5. We got Tennessee first half spread of, I think it was 35.5. We'll double check on that number. Late add to the card on the pod. West Virginia at Pittsburgh. We got West Virginia -1.5. Backyard brawl. Oklahoma State at Tulsa. Tulsa +20.5. And then we have Memphis +6.5 on the road down against the Seminoles. Chisum, we love you. I know it's a tough weekend of college football for you. We feel it too. Play of the year, gone. Excited for 2025. These Hawkeyes, hopefully they'll be back. I'll be with them every step of the way. Love the fan base. Everybody was so sweet and kind. Actually had some positive interactions around the pod in real life, which is always just a treat. Pretty hilarious. I actually saw old Chisum siblings, 2 of them, not all of them, but 2 of them.
Let me guess, the autistic one didn't make it to the crowded, loud event.
You're not wrong, Adam. You know your family well, buddy. I'll say that.
He's got, those sensory issues that come along with autism typically hold him back. So, not shocked, but Chooch,
yes.
we love you if you're listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for listening. Like I was trying to say earlier, wasn't doing a good job with the connection, but like and subscribe. Check out everything else that was on the pod. Old Chisum, if you can't get enough Old Chisum talking college football, he was talking NFL football as well.
Saw that
earlier this week, Monday night. So listen into that also. And until next time, Rent Money, we salute you, the listeners. We're going to continue to work hard, be better. I mean, shit, we're pumping out 2 hours of content tonight. We could keep going for forever, but
we're not done yet because I got to read through my picks here still.
No, Adam, I'm passing the baton to you, and I'm
just
going to let you close it out.
You're doing this with grace and with poise, and I love it.
Everything that you wanted to say or haven't said, everything that you've said, and I've been swarmy back to you with a quick response to shut you down. Well, my mouth is shut. The floor is yours.
Yeah, guys, I don't want to talk too much more. I've already said a lot of sad shit. We're moving past that. We're focused on the numbers here. This is purely us trying to do our best to get on the same side as Vegas and win as much money as possible, because God knows if you try to beat Vegas, that's how you end up living underneath a bridge, and your dinner turns into crystal meth pretty quick. So my bets, I'm going Texas State money line first and foremost, kicking off on Thursday night. Definitely going to be more entertaining than the Dolphins-Bills game. Just kidding. That's probably going to be a good one too. But also Kansas -7. I'm also on Arizona. The team total, we got it 24.5. So give me the over there. Missouri, going back on them once again. Let's go -15.5 for the boys in the black and gold. West Virginia, backyard brawl. I think we got that. That's at 1.5 now, I believe. Correct, Jack?
Yeah, you got it.
Woo! And then outside of that, I'm through the quick last few. Memphis +5.5 or better. I think it's upwards of 6.5 right now. So get it while you can. Washington, Texas Pete here. You're not fading. I'm just going head to head against you. Give me Washington -4. Central Michigan, gonna muck it up and get it dirty enough to cover that 20-point spread at Illinois. Utah versus Utah State. No Cam Rising, no problem. We'll go under 45.5. Tulsa, little brother, hair on fire. Watch this shit. We got Tulsa +20.5 versus Oklahoma State. Mississippi State, we're going to take them as well. -12.5 or better. Ideally closer to that 11 spot. But then last one, will be taking the Pokes, Wyoming, plus 11 or better against those damn Mormons. Folks, we've spoke plenty on this one. I have poured my heart out and then had it stomped on by two of my closest friends. So that sucked, and I'm sorry that I'm not. Sorry that I'm not sorry. Sorry that I care about something and you don't. Sorry that I have high expectations. Sorry that I want my teams to aim for the fucking moon and at worst land amongst the stars. And I'm sorry that I believe that greatness is only achieved by believing you are great and by going out and executing. I wish that my teams would do the same. I wish that my teams would go out and perform the same that I have mentally expected them to. But you know what? There are no teams when it comes to the book. There are only numbers and teams attached to said numbers. So that's what we do here. That's what we do on Rent Money. I think everybody at this point is at 500 or better, right? Or weeks
on their
1
way
and 2.
on their way to being on their way to being 500 or
about
better.
to be.
You just wait till you
Falls
Texas Pete's Texas Plays of the Day presented
Yeah.
by Dude Wipes.
TP went 500 last week after going winless week 0 and 1. So guess what, folks? The trend is on its way up. We're going to keep that shit rolling. At this point, fuck you. If you're listening to this, just eat a bag of dicks. But also, I love you. That's words in terms of endearment. And I think it's time we end this shit. I'm going to put a bow on it here, boys. So while you guys get ready for that trip down I-35 to San Marcos to join me at this game tomorrow at UFCU Stadium, 6:30 Central kickoff, why don't you guys do me a favor? And while you're in the car, give a call to your bookie. And why don't you just tell them that we say hi here.